Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, CEO series, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Samuelle Dimairho, co-founder and the CEO of Aura Holdings. If you enjoy this episode, remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Let's get down to some work. Very excited, Samuelle, to be talking to a young man like you who's done quite a lot of interesting things. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this and seeing what we can talk about that will hopefully motivate and inspire people out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So talk to me about, you are the co-founder and CEO of Aura Holdings. Talk to me about Aura Holdings. What is Aura Holdings?
Okay, so Aura Holdings started in about 2013. We predominantly started off in the IT hardware and software space where we're doing, projects in the tech space basically. But I think over the years we've evolved, going beyond technology, where we are also doing agro-processing, horticulture, property investments. We also have an aviation unit as well for private charters, and we are basically, and also involved in financial services. So we've grown to become a conglomerate operating through about, 18 subsidiaries and projects, employing slightly over 500 people.
What was the thinking process? Talk to me about where the idea came from to start Aura Holdings.
Aura Holdings, yeah.
Because you've grown very quickly over a short span of time. 2013, and now you have 18 companies in very diversified sectors of the economy.
Right. So I'll rewind back. Yeah. I'm a young man. I know I look young, but it's not as quick as it looks.
Yeah.
I'll rewind and tell you a bit about where I came from. So I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out after my O-levels to start pursuing business. That was when I was 17 years old. So I've been in business for about 18 years now. And I think Aura Holdings was just part of the journey. I think for me, the first part of the journey was automating, the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. And on working on that project, I then saw that there were many other opportunities. So one of the things about being an entrepreneur is whenever you're working on something big, you work with a team of people to make it happen. You bring together the ingredients that can make the project a success. So when we had successfully automated the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the question was what next now? Because I think for me, I've never really been that person who sees themselves working in a corporate environment, but I like to see myself as someone that finds problems and solves them, sees needs and fulfills them. So I've always been motivated by looking at, okay, what are the challenges and problems we have in society and how can we solve them in a way that, results in economic benefit. So that's always been the ethos. To say, looking at the skills and competencies I've built and the team around me, we're always looking at where we can apply our opportunities in different spaces and places. And we've managed to successfully do so in the past 11 years.
Let us go to that place where you decide to drop out of school. Yeah. Which school was that?
I was at Prince Edward High School.
Yeah. And what grade were you? What form were you?
I was Form 4. I didn't go back for my O-levels. I left after Form 4.
You left after Form 4?
Yes, I left.
Talk to me about the thinking process. Why would you do that? It's not every day that people do. Is it because parents couldn't pay your fees? Why did you just drop out?
Okay, so I'll rewind a bit further. So I have always been that person. I grew up in a poor family by societal standards. And to put it in context, the first 10 years of my life, we lived in a 3-roomed wooden shack. Not because, and I think my parents did the best they could under the circumstances, and they sacrificed comfort over our future. So despite us living in a shack for the first 10 years of my life, we all went to very good schools. I was at Lewiston Primary School, Prince Edward High School. My sister was at Chisipiti Senior High School. So they basically they sacrificed comfort for our future. So, obviously when you're growing up, when you're not, when you're struggling periodically, sometimes the parents don't have fees to pay, and then they're negotiating payment plans and so forth and so on. So I wanted to be rich. And in my mind, I was like, look, when I grow up, I want to be rich. But I think as I grew older, 13, 14, I started to, I used to trade, just wheeling and dealing to make a few dollars here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But, my dad then gave me a book to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book, kind of changed my thought process to say, fine, you want to make money, but the way to do it is to solve problems. Yeah, identify problems, solve them, look for needs and fulfill them. And then from then, my thought process completely changed. So in reading books, one of the things that I learned was that at a young age, you need to work to learn and not to earn. So during my high school holidays, I would go to work for free at an audit and accounting firm. And by doing that, I got to know how to register companies, do company secretarial work, do audit work, do, bookkeeping and maintain financial statements and draw up financial statements. So it's in working at that audit and accounting firm that I actually saw that there was a way to start chartered accountancy straight after O levels. I just had to be 16 years old. So my ticket of dropping out of high school was, I didn't say to my parents, if I am a chartered accountant, who's going to ask me for my A-level certificate?
Right.
And the answer was nobody. And that then allowed me to work on my chartered accountancy straight after dropping out. But I was doing school part-time and then working full-time in terms of my entrepreneurial endeavors.
Did you get your O levels?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I think I had 1 A, 3 Bs, and 4 Cs.
But you didn't do your A's?
No, I didn't do A level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a qualified chartered
now I'm a qualified chartered certified accountant. I also have an honors in applied accounting. But I did it at my pace and my time. And that's because, from interacting with mentors, one thing they always emphasize was, you need to have those pieces of paper, right? In as much as, I'm sure, Trevor, you know this by now, there's no direct correlation between the pieces of paper someone holds and their performance.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but it's a necessary thing.
But you do have those pieces of paper.
I do have them.
Where did you get your degree from?
I did it at Oxford Brookes University. Okay. So everything was long distance learning. I did my ACCA and my Oxford.
So you've qualified, you've got these pieces of paper.
Yeah, I've got them. And the interesting part is that I self-taught myself. I never entered class for those. So it was just a trial and error until I got it right.
Is this something that you'd advise others to do out there who are watching you?
No, I'd say I certainly would. You need to think outside the box. I always say, if you want to be different from everybody else, you've got to do things differently, right? I'll certainly advise, young people, parents, the moment children are teenagers, they should be working.
Right.
Like during holidays, they should go and work. I was in the Netherlands sometime last year. And, supermarkets are being run by, kids between 10 and 15 years old, right?
Right.
Yeah. They're just not at the tills, but everything else in the supermarkets. And picture a large supermarket like Pick n Pay or OK or Bon Marché, and they're literally kids that are running it. Except, where there's the cashiers and what. Yeah.
So tell me, your co-founder is Nikhil.
Yes.
Boulabai.
Yes.
Talk to me about how you met with Nikhil and how long you've known him.
Yeah. So I met with Nikhil in about 2010 when we were working on co-founding Chengetedzai Depository company. And I think from working together with him on that, we then identified that there were synergies beyond Chengetedzai. What brought us together was Chengetedzai, but there were synergies beyond that. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's been in business for I think close to 40 years now. And he always prides himself in saying that, he's started about, over 100 businesses in his lifetime. And I think about 5 of them are remaining right now. But
Yeah. So you found a working relationship with him. You're actually co-partners. You're equals.
Yes, correct. We work together, yeah.
And in terms of the shareholding of Aura, are you also 50-50 partners?
Yeah,
What's the relationship like?
partners.
You're equal partners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you started trading stocks. Talk to me about that bit of yours, because that is almost the first thing that you got to do, isn't it?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I started trading shares on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange from the age of 15 years old. I was still too young to trade, so I used my mother's ID to open a brokerage account. And then I traded under her name. But where that came from was, I think, in reading business books, which talked about, you can either be an employee, self-employed, business owner, or an investor. And I certainly said, I want to be a business owner or an investor. So on one front, I was like, okay, let me work on some business ideas. On another front, I was like, let me also start investing. And I think at that time, there was either the money market or the stock market. Whenever one was performing, the other one was down. Yeah. But so at that time that I started, the stock market was the one where, there were good opportunities to make money. And that's where I decided to start.
Where does the inspiration come from of saying I want to get rich? Where did that come from?
I think for me, it was the motivation of, saying that, okay, the way I grew up, I want to make a better life for myself.
Right.
My late mother always used to hold up these 3 fingers like this.
Yeah.
And then she'll say, this is us.
Yeah.
Like the small finger is my parents. This finger that follows is you. And this one should be your children. So there must be growth through the generations. Yeah. So for me, that's what fueled me and motivated. And my parents always used to teach us that, it doesn't matter where you start off in life, but you have the power to decide how you create the future that you want to have. You create tomorrow today. Right. So the decisions and things you do now you're going to reap the fruits of that labor tomorrow, whether they're productive or unproductive things.
Fascinating. We're going to take a break here, Samuel. At home, please don't go away. When we come back, we're going to go into breaking down the Aura holdings, the 18 sectors that you operate in, and how easy or challenging it's been to get into those sectors.
Okay.
So at home, don't go away. See you on the other side.
Imagine a Zimbabwe where businesses thrive without borders, where healthcare reaches the remotest areas and finance flows seamlessly. Introducing Aura Group Starlink, your trusted partner in revolutionizing business connectivity. With enterprise-grade reliability, scalability, and nationwide reach, we tailor our solutions to match your industry needs. From e-learning to industrial optimization, our high-speed internet empowers businesses to grow without limits. Get started today with our quick setup guarantee. Kits available now for immediate deployment. Contact us now to revolutionize your business operations with Aura Group Starlink. Connect without limits.
Welcome back to In Conversation with Trevor CEO series, where I'm talking to Samuelle Dimairho, the co-founder and CEO of the Aura Holdings. So I get the sense that the start of your career and your entrepreneurship journey is essentially trading in stocks, then you get into contact with the stock market, then something happens. Talk to us about what happens there.
So I think the moment I got in contact with the stock market, I just started asking why. And at that time, our stock market was trading manually. So I just started to also research on the subject and say, look, why do we trade manually when everybody else around us and people around the world that have gone to an automated environment? So that's what kind of got me thinking to say, okay, if this problem has not yet been solved, let me make an attempt at it.
And you made an attempt.
Yes, I made
Talk to us about how you made that attempt. I mean, it's fascinating. Young person, how old were you then when you did this?
17 to be precise.
17?
Yeah.
I mean, talk to us about how you then go about saying, I'm going to do this, and how you actually get to do it.
Yeah, so, one of the principles I learned from reading was that, look, if you think you're a winner, guess what, you're right. If you also think you're a loser, guess what, you're also right. So it first starts off with you having a vision and a desire to do something and being determined to do it. So I was probably 17 and naive and, didn't understand the extent of the problem I was trying to solve. And, but I said, I'm going to be, the person that goes at it. They'd been talking about automation since 1996 when I was 6 years old. And I said, okay, if I'm 17 and they haven't done it yet, I'm going to be the guy that tries to do it. So initially the idea was to write software and then sell it to the stock exchange. And that was the plan. And we went around, looked for software engineers and developers and experts in the field. And then we actually started, doing proposals to actually do some software.
So you're working with Nikhil here?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet, yeah.
Interesting,
yeah.
Okay.
Not yet, yeah. So I remember going to the CEO's office, going to meet him, and, I'm 17 or 18-year-old, and I think they probably thought maybe, this is just a youngster.
Smoking something.
Yes. This is a $5 billion market. We're not going to trust it with a teenager, so to speak. Yeah. It first off started off with, writing proposals. And then I think in 2008, there was the establishment of the Securities Commission. Then it was called the Securities Commission of Zimbabwe. And it's called the Securities and Exchange Commission of Zimbabwe. And then the model changed in that a central securities depository needed to be an independent company that operates on its own outside of a stock exchange. So they then flighted a tender in 2010, and the only reason why they tendered it is because in most countries all over the world, you find a scenario where there's only one central securities depository. There can be multiple stock exchanges, but there's normally one central securities depository. There are a few exceptions where you have two, like in India, there's two. Also here in Zimbabwe, we now have more than one central securities depository, but it's very rare. Most countries have just one. And now the project moved from writing the software to actually establishing the company to operate the central depository system. So it meant finding the finance, finding the people, procuring the systems, and then actually designing an operating framework for this company to actually run it on an independent basis from the stock exchange. So that's when I then met Nikhil on that part.
So you abandoned the automation of the stock exchange and went for the depository company?
Yes, went for the depository company. Yes, yeah. Because for automation, you have to first automate the depository before you can do automated trading.
Of the trading, yeah.
Because it's almost like you have to first automate the back office before you automate the front office.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the starting point.
So that was the first company then that you and Nikhil got to build, which is the Chengetai Depository
Yeah,
company.
so it was the first company when we that we were both involved in at the same time. There were other companies we also worked with on this. One of them was First Transfer Secretaries. Mm-hmm. It was also one of the partners in Chengetai when we were starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just go through the 18 companies that you've established so far. Do you mind walking us through those, what they do?
Yeah, so one of the popular known ones is Uni Foods. So Uni Foods, they do milling and also snacks. I'm sure a lot of us have eaten Uni Maputis at one point or another. So we're a significant shareholder in there. Then obviously we also own some shareholding in Chengetai Depository Company. That's the second company. Then we've got a company called Fiscal Revenue Solutions that provides fiscalization solutions for complying with ZIMRA regulations. Now, every registered business is supposed to have a fiscal machine, and the idea for the tax authorities that is people are doing their sales in their businesses, the transactions are getting transmitted to ZIMRA almost, in near real time.
And you are the sole provider of that service?
I know there are a couple of companies
Okay.
that do that. Initially, we were one of 5, but I think they've opened it up to more companies.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we also have other group telecommunications where we're providing internet services using Starlink technologies for a start, and also exploring new innovations around telecoms. That's on IT. Then we have a company called Lyrica, where we're growing industrial hemp for CBD and CBG oils. And then we have Empire Pharma, where we have a medical marijuana license, and we're developing that project as well. We've got a company called Usafi Oils that's processing marula nuts and extracting the oil for, export for the cosmetics industry. It's a carrier oil. And then the waste, we are making charcoal briquettes, eco-friendly charcoal briquettes. Then the next is obviously Ora Aviation. We've got some aircraft which we're chartering out of South Africa. And then occasionally we bring them up here to use them. Then we have Ora Properties, where we have some property investments in Zimbabwe, and also notably, some land in Alps, where we want to develop a smart neighborhood.
Where is that?
Alps Estate.
Okay.
In the Alps Estate area.
Okay.
Yeah, near SRDC.
Okay.
So we've got that as well. And then we have...
And how old are you? Remind me again.
I'm 34, turning 35 this year. And then we've got the Afri Group. So Afri Group has 4 companies. So the first company, we're manufacturing AdBlue in Zimbabwe, or what you call diesel exhaust fluid. We're the only ones doing it in the country. So a lot of these cars, to meet emission requirements, you have to, the engines take diesel exhaust fluid, which cleans the exhaust fumes before they get released into the environment. So manufacturing AdBlue. Then we've got a company called Afri Light that's doing light vehicle spares and parts. Then we've got Afri Spares, which does truck and trailer spares as well. Then we've got a company in South Africa called Fuller Train that's into gearbox and diff spares. So all this is kind of like a smaller group within a bigger group. And then we've got Africa First Distribution that's into lubricants and oils, from edible lubricants and oils to industrial lubricants and oils.
Wow. Yeah. Which is your biggest operating entity here?
I'll say all of them. Yeah, all of them are fairly big in their own different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we've actually noticed is that, as times change, some rise and some come down.
What about in terms of revenues and profitability, say net profit?
Yeah, so one that I'll call a cash cow is our telecoms business, where we're doing internet with Starlink. That's certainly a cash cow. Of course, low margins, but it's a cash cow. Afri Group also has performed very well in terms of volume, but I think it slowed down when the economic activity slowed down in the transport sector. Then I'll say the export-facing businesses, it's big transactions come now and then you sometimes have some dry spells. So it's all.
What do you think?
Fiscal revenue solutions also very.
Because you have about 3,000 of those, what do you call them?
Fiscal machines.
Fiscal machines.
Yes, yeah.
You still have 3,000 of them grown.
We're now nearing 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
What's the global figure in Zimbabwe for fiscalization?
I think it's 19,000.
19,000.
Yeah. Because VAT registered operators are about 30,000, and I think only about 19,000 of those are fiscalized.
Interesting. What, in your view, explains your success? As Samuelle and as the Ora Group, what explains your success? People are going to be watching there and saying, wow, this young man is 34 years. Well, what makes him tick?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's just about, I'll start off as a person because, strategy is implemented by people, right? And I always say, outward success is preceded by inner success. So it starts with you as a person. And I think for me, the starting point, what I'll advise anybody is, understand yourself and have a vision in life. When you're very clear where you want to go, align everything that you do with your vision. So your choice of associates, what you spend your time doing, what you spend your time reading, what you spend your time listening to, must all be aligned to your purpose and the direction you're taking. It's never by accident that people achieve great things. Another important thing that I always constantly do is to read. he who does not read has no advantage over he who cannot read. So sometimes just simply reading, came across that quote some time ago. When we read, we connect to minds of people that we might not ordinarily meet in person, right? And, people should be watching this show and not Netflix, right? Yeah. They should be binging on In Conversations with Trevor and not Netflix. Yeah. Right. That's what I
support that. I support that, guys. Right.
Yeah. But for me, I've always looked at, I'm very clear of where I want to go in life, and I'm, very certain of what I want, and I'm prepared to work for it, over the long term. We're now living in a, microwave society that wants things quickly, that wants to live this soft life without a lot of work and effort and having all the benefit. Now, that doesn't work. And sometimes it takes a while for something to grow and build before you actually see the results of it. So we're now living in a society that's full of pressure, right? There's this word called pressure that I came across, where people are always looking at out-competing each other, looking flamboyant and fancy, and, trying to have the best optics there out there. But that is not success. I think that's the mistake people make in thinking that success starts from within. Success is who you are, who you become. I always tell young people and everybody else that, I respect the process more than the result. The result is good, but show me the process and then I'll decide whether I'm going to respect the result.
Wow. Well, and what explains the success of the Aura Holdings? Aura Holdings,
yeah. So I think for us, I think we've got great people that are committed to the passion and passionate about the vision. And I think it's just been about finding the right people, in some instances, starting the right business at the right time, and in some instances, partnering and investing in people that are good. Because a great part of our growth strategy has been investment. And we always look at, firstly, is it a good idea? A, B, are these the right people to run with the idea? So in some instances, we've grown organically. In some instances, we've grown by acquiring. Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there, and we're going to take a break, hey? Okay. And when we come back, I want to go to the place. Most of your businesses, not most, some of your big businesses are in dealing with government. And I want to crack the formula. What is it that has made it possible for you guys to do good deals with government? So when we come back, we'll go to that place. See you on the other side.
Imagine a Zimbabwe where businesses thrive without borders, where healthcare reaches the remotest areas and finance flows seamlessly. Introducing Aura Group Starlink, your trusted partner in revolutionizing business connectivity. With enterprise-grade reliability, scalability, and nationwide reach, we tailor our solutions to match your industry needs. From e-learning to industrial optimization, our high-speed internet empowers businesses to grow without limits. Get started today with our quick setup guarantee. Kits available now for immediate deployment. Contact us now to revolutionize your business operations with Aura Group Starlink. Connect without limits.
Welcome back to this CEO series, where I'm in conversation with Samuelle Dimairho, the co-founder and CEO of Aura Holdings. Samuelle, I want us to go to your earlier jobs, your employment history. Take us there. Am I right that you were one of the first responsibilities that you had was as business development director with Chartered Systems? Was that one of your first?
Yeah. So obviously my first job was working for free during the holidays, and then when I was working for Chartered Systems, it was actually part of the Chengetedzai journey.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I remember at that point many years ago, working with very seasoned IT expert, and the idea was to bring him into the Chengetedzai project. But what I then saw was that what we then both discovered was that, look, he was also trying to do some things. He had just come back from the UK. And, I had gotten to a point where I had extensive local knowledge, and he had some systems that he wanted to promote. So I started working inside Chartered Systems as a business development executive. And the idea was to then cross-pollinate. He comes into these opportunities I'm working on. I'm also getting involved in.
And then you then became a business development executive with Interlink Group.
Yes.
Is Interlink part of the Aura, or that was outside Aura?
No, that was before Aura Day. So the Interlink Group acquired Chartered Systems, and that's how I then got into Interlink Group. And that's where I met Nikhil. Nikhil was one of the founders of Interlink Group.
Okay, so the relationship starts there.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then you then became commercial director of systems integration with, was that still with Interlink, or that was different?
So what happened is that, we had Interlink, and then they acquired Chartered Systems. And then I think after some time, that arrangement did not work out, and then Chartered Systems came out of the Interlink Group. Yeah. So I then went, back to Chartered Systems. Yeah.
So your relationship with Nikhil, what are his strengths? What are your strengths? What do you each bring to the partnership?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So, Nikhil is the ideas person. Nikhil has an idea, a few ideas every day. He's always very innovative, very futuristic in how he thinks. Nikhil is a master networker as well. Yeah, I'm still to come across a better networker than Nikhil.
Right.
Yeah. He's very good at networking, entertaining people, making people feel comfortable. And for me, my strengths are, I'm an operator. So give me anything. I'll make sure that it has the right people, processes, and systems to make it work. So we work hand in hand in the sense that his strengths are more on opening opportunities. And then when they're credible and have grown enough for us to then create a business out of it, I'm the one that then comes in and establishes those business. So that's how, our strengths complement each other.
Who would you say is the face of the company?
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I think I'm more of the face. I'm the more known one. Nikhil is less known. Although he's the chairman, he's less known.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. So the question that I asked as we took the break, it's not easy doing business with government.
Yes, correct.
Okay. For you, what has been the key success factor in you unlocking that relationship? Because you've got contracts with Zimra, you've got contracts with Chengetai Deposit. You couldn't have done that without a relationship with government. What's been the thing that's unlocked the doors?
Yeah, so, a lot of people often, think there's a special formula to it, but certainly where I came from, we had no contacts whatsoever. But what we had was a very good product and service. And it was just a matter of approaching government to say, look, this is...
So before you go there, let me just... So you do Zimra online payment systems. You still do that, or that's done?
No, that's done already.
You did that?
Yeah, I did that many years ago.
Then Zimra tax self-assessment system.
Yeah, it's now evolved into what we call TAMS today.
TAMS. You said that.
So we are the ones that broke the ground on that path.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Zimra fiscalization project with 3,000 point of sale fiscal devices. Yeah. You did that.
Yes, we did that. Yeah.
What's the formula of unlocking that?
Yeah. So I think, like, for example, if you look at Chengetai, I think when we were working on it, a lot of people in government didn't realize the size of it until we were already implementing it.
Right.
So, actually one of the lessons that I learned is that, if you are doing something substantial enough, government will actually come and approach you because they'll eventually know about you and they'll come and approach you to work with them if what you're doing is good enough. In some instances, we've had to pitch ideas and, what has worked versus what has not worked, there are many more things which have not worked than those that have worked. And I think the simple formula is that, do we have a good product and service? Do we supply it for the right price? And can we partner with government in a manner that it can work? And we get remunerated for services. And that's what it's always been. Sometimes some things have not worked because the reality that we live in is that, sometimes it's challenging to work in government because not everybody wants development for their own selfish reasons.
Any projects that have not worked that you could name?
Look, it'll be tricky to name them without without throwing a cat among the pigeons.
Okay.
I want to stay away from
You're
that
staying
space.
from, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I must ask you is, when I look at all these projects, I'm like, there's a strong sense that for you to do business with government, you've got to bribe somebody. You've got to pay a bribe. You've got to oil somebody. There's got to be a brown envelope that's passed. How are you able to do all these projects and have you ever bribed anybody?
No, never. There's one thing that we pride ourselves in is that we always focus on doing things properly.
Right.
Yeah, do things properly, don't cut corners. And if you do something properly and you have the right product and the right service for the right price, you never need to bribe anybody. Occasionally, you will be denied certain opportunities because you don't want to, and that's a reality that sometimes happens. But we've always, our philosophy has always been, no one can stand in the way of progress. You can delay it, but you can never deny it. Yeah. If you take the fiscal...
So Aura has never bribed anybody to get a deal?
No, okay. Never. And will never, because we feel that we are good enough to provide something that's needed. If people don't want what we have or the solutions that we have, it's for them to lose.
Like that project where you're going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons?
Yeah, exactly. It was their loss. And truth be told, when that project, we lost that project because of obviously some corruption happening, those people that got it failed at it. And most of the times, that's what always happens. And when they fail enough times, eventually someone will stand up and say, no, but let's do this the right way. And then you come and step in.
You are young, 35 years old. Maybe it might be unfair to ask you this question. Have you ever failed?
Many times. I failed more than I've succeeded.
Really? Yeah. Any failure that's really humbled you that you'd want to share?
I think one of them was when Interlink Group, collapsed for all intents and purposes. But I think what it was more, more of, there were too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Too many cooks in the kitchen with all sorts of ideas, and eventually, there can only be one bull in the crow. That's what was do you take responsibility for that? What did you learn from that? I think what I learned from that is, it's important to get the team right. A. B, it's important for all of you for your value systems to be aligned whenever you're getting into business, because that's more important than whatever, opportunity that you're working on. If you've got the right opportunity, the wrong people, and you don't have an aligned value system, it can very well turn into a disaster. The other failure was a business where, we basically, again, it comes back to people. You have the wrong people, and then you lose money through fraud. Yeah. And to the point where you're just like, let's shut it down. It was a good idea, but they were the wrong people. And then we just closed it down. And maybe the responsibility I'll take for days that, I was probably too trusting. Yeah. And, when you're a CEO, your work is done through people, and you have to have some sort of inherent trust that you impart on them. Yeah. And unfortunately, some are responsible with the authority that, you give them. Some are irresponsible. Yeah. And yeah.
Do you have any mentors? Do you have somebody who mentors you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of mentors from the time I was young. Andrew Mgandiwa has been a mentor since I was a teenager. Lakson Zembe has been a mentor since I was a teenager. I'll say those are like my two main mentors. Even Nikhil Bulaba has also been a mentor for me. He's way much older than me, so it also brings that balance of age. The old and wise ideas person and networker with the young, energetic, operator, that can also, that knows how to take something from an idea into reality. Yeah.
So, what would you say are your leadership principles? How do you lead as a founder and CEO of Aura Holdings?
So I certainly lead by example, and I'm prepared to do everything that I ask anybody to do. So for example, if you take where we are doing Starlink, I've actually gone and participated in doing installations, climbing on the roof of a warehouse and actually experiencing what my team goes through. So I like to lead from the front, understand my team, have a relationship with my team, and also knowing that I don't have all the best ideas. So my method is to empower people to make decisions. And even, when we decide, really will I give directives, I want us to come up with a solution together so that we all own the solution, in the work environment. So those are some of the leadership styles that
You become, in a way, a public figure, and public figures tend to attract criticism. What's the biggest criticism that has come to you that has not settled down with you well?
Yeah, look, it's natural to have criticism. I've never really had any serious criticism beyond noise, so to speak. I'm still to come across any, but the usual, things where people maybe say, this person is succeeded because they're politically connected, they are relative. I've been called.
So people do say that about you.
I've been called a relative of politicians or influential people that I don't even know or am related to. You know what I mean? Or, people will say, will try and accuse you to say, look, you cut some corners where, but without saying where you cut the corners.
But in your hearts of hearts, you're not what they accuse you of.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not. If anything, I've always been that guy who tries to live a life where I have no enemies. I can say with a clear conscience that I have no enemies today because I always try to deal with everybody fairly and in an honorable way. You will not always agree with everybody, but I always believe that even when we disagree, we should disagree respectfully. Yeah, so I don't have any enemies. I have a very clear conscience. One of the things that I always tell people is that, I can sleep peacefully at night with zero stress.
That's good.
That, there's someone I messed up, or, there's something coming after me, or, there's, some funny skeleton in my cabinet. No.
You're clean.
Yeah, I'm clean. I value peace of mind in as much as I want to be a successful business person. For me, my peace of mind is equally important.
I want us to go to discussing books because our viewers out there love books. And by the way, we've set up a very big WhatsApp group, the Trevor Book Club, for you to join us, discuss books and that kind of stuff. And we have a lot of things lined up as far as the book club is concerned. Do you mind recommending to our viewers at least 3 books that you've read that you think could inspire, motivate them? What books would you recommend?
So there are 3 books. One of them would be Awakening Your Inner Greatness by Milton Kamondo. Very powerful book.
Okay. Yeah. Zimbabwean author.
Yeah. I'll also put Think and Grow Rich. That's been one of my anchor books.
I've failed to read that one again.
Really?
Yeah. So there's something wrong with me. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Then also The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. That's also a very good book. And I think these 3 books, if one reads them, in my opinion, they apply to everything in life. Whether you decide to be a business person or a sports person or a professional, they contain principles that you can apply to succeed in any of those settings.
There's the 5 a.m. Club. I would recommend that people, if you've read the 5 a.m. Club, the one book that you need to read is a book called Live Out. We're going to share it below this video. It develops in a much more deeper way the themes that are raised in the 5 a.m. Club. So I recommend you read Live Out. It's written by a doctor. I always forget the authors of this book, but we will share, as I'm talking right now, the title of that book. Samuel, it's been great chatting
so much.
to you.
Excellent.
35-year-old in the mixture of things, building the Aura Group. I pray that you continue to build and inspire people. I love the fact that you say you sleep and your conscience is clean. I get the sense that you might have turned down 1 or 2 bribes and you can sleep with a clean conscience. That's very important because we can't build this country on taking bribes. So Samuelle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We wish you and the Aura Group and Nikhil all the success in what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And allow me to turn to our viewers who are at home. Thank you for watching this CEO series with Samuelle. Remember, we are a weekly show. The CEO series is going to be once a month. We're still weekly. We come out every Monday, 7 a.m. Central African time. For your viewing pleasure, to ensure you don't miss out on any of these shows, please click below this video on the subscribe, like, and share. Go even further and put a notification so that when we do release one of these quality shows, you do get a notification and you don't miss out. We've built a whole website where most of our content sits for your listening pleasure. Our podcast, as you're cleaning the car, washing the plates, go below this video and click onto the link for your viewing pleasure. We love your comments. Keep them coming, praising us, criticizing us, the guests on the show. We love all that. Let's engage. Until next time, cheers to you all.